Hello students, good evening to all of you. So here I am going to discuss some of the problems from gravitation class ninth there, and यहाँ पर I am going to solve two blue boxes there gravitation chapter. So question number one जो है वो कुछ इस तरह से है, what are the differences between mass of an object and its weight? तो यहाँ हमें जो है मास और वेट के बीच में डिफरेंसेस लिखने हैं. सो स्टूडेंट्स मास जो है वो बेसिकली है क्वांटिटी ऑफ और अमाउंट ऑफ मैटर. इट इज़ क्वांटिटी ऑफ मैटर in the body. That is the quantity of matter contained in the body is called mass. और जो weight है it is basically pull on the body. It is basically pull on the body due to gravitational force. It is the pull on the body due to gravitational force. So it is the pull of earth on the body. So इसका जो mathematical formula है that is W is equal to mg. So weight is pull on the body due to gravitational force and mass is the quantity of matter contained in the body. और जो mass है students वो है scalar quantity और जो weight है वो है vector quantity. एंड मास का यूनिट रहता है एसआई में केजी और सीजीएस में सीजीएस में ग्राम्स. एंड देन अगर वेट की बात की जाए तो वेट का जो यूनिट है वो है न्यूटन एंड सीजीएस यूनिट है डाइन. सो दीज आर द डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन मास एंड वेट. So now let's come to the second question there. Why is the weight of an object on the moon 1/6 its weight on the earth? सो स्टूडेंट्स लेट सपोज वी हैव अ बॉडी जिसका मास हम ले लेते हैं स्मॉल एम, जिसका मास है स्मॉल एम. सो वेट ऑफ बॉडी ऑन अर्थ आ जाएगा, बॉडी का वेट अर्थ पर आ जाएगा एम इंटू जी. इसे हम इक्वेशन वन नाम देते हैं. और देन हम इसी बॉडी का वेट लिखेंगे मून के सरफेस पर. लेट सपोज इट इज़ एम जी डैश, मास चेंज नहीं करेगा. सो जी का वैल्यू मून पे लेट सपोज जी डैश है. सो स्टूडेंट्स जो मून पे जो ग्रेविटी का वैल्यू है, जी डैश का वैल्यू है, वो बेसिकली अर्थ की जी का जी/6 रहता है. इट इज़ जी/6. सो इसको हम यहाँ पर पुट करेंगे तो हमारे पास जो वेट ऑन मून बन जाएगा वो बन जाएगा एम जी डैश, और जी डैश की जगह मैं लिख सकता हूँ जी/6. सो वहाँ पर जो हमारे पास वेट है इट इज़ 1/6. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट जी/6 वहाँ पर जो ग्रेविटी है दैट इज़ जी/6 इन कंपेरिजन टू अर्थ. सो ड्यू टू दैट रीज़न वहाँ पर वेट जो है वो 1/6 हो जाता है. सो 1/6 mg/6 इज द आंसर फॉर द सेकेंड प्रॉब्लम. नाउ लेट्स कम टू द अनदर ब्लू बॉक्स देयर. इसका क्वेश्चन नंबर वन को हम डिस्कस करेंगे. Why it is difficult to hold a school bag having a strap made of thin and a strong string? So this concept is basically related to the pressure. As we know that pressure is equal to force upon area. So we have a like strap that is strong as well as it is thin. So strong or thin string, it means that it can carry a large amount of load there. But here the thin strap is basically a problem. Problem in what sense? Like if you have a strap of a bag that is thin strap, so if it is thin it means that its area will be lesser. So if area will be lesser, so pressure will be more, pressure will be more. So as your string is strong, basically आपका string जो है वो strong है तो वो ज़्यादा load ले सकता है, ज़्यादा weight ले सकता है. like F को हम लिख सकते हैं mg upon a. So that is strong, it can take much load there, but it is a thin strap. So because of its thin nature, its area will be lesser. So if area will be lesser, so pressure on the shoulders will be large. So this is the reason that it is difficult to hold a bag having strap made of thin and strong string. So वहाँ पर area कम होगा तो pressure ज़्यादा होगा. So why this is difficult to hold? So it is difficult to hold a school bag having strap made of thin string. So this pressure is the reason for that problem. Now let's come to the second question. What do you mean by the term buoyancy? Buoyancy का क्या मतलब है students? So for example we have some beaker filled of water or some fluid there, any other fluid. So let's suppose we put some body, and that body may be partially immersed, it may be fully immersed inside the fluid. So since that liquid or that fluid will exert a upthrust or exert a force on that body, that force is called upthrust. That force is called upthrust, or we can say that that force is also known as the buoyant force. That is also known as the buoyant force. So this property of liquid to exert the buoyant force or the upthrust is known as the buoyancy. So liquid will exert a force on a body which is immersed in the liquid, body will be fully immersed, it may be partially immersed, that doesn't matter. So that force that liquid is exerting is called buoyant force, and this property is called buoyancy. So that is the answer for question number second. So this property is called buoyancy. Now let's come to the third question there. Why does an object float or sink when placed on the surface of water? So if you put something like आपने कभी प्लास्टिक का like ball है, bottle है, कुछ भी है पानी के ऊपर फेंक, that will float and some other things will not float. So students, like if things were floating there, for example अगर मैं किसी body को वाटर के सरफेस पे डालता हूँ, सो इसका जो वेट है दैट विल एक्ट इन द डाउनवर्ड डायरेक्शन, बट अपथ्रस्ट विल एक्ट इन द अपवर्ड डायरेक्शन. Upthrust is basically the force exerted on that body, to or exerted on the body by that liquid there. So if that upthrust, this upthrust is basically more than the weight. If upthrust is greater than the weight, then obviously body will float there. And if this upthrust is less than the weight of the body, then body will sink down there. So these are the reasons. So body is being floating on the surface of water, it means that body is having more upthrust in comparison to its own weight, and if its weight is more than the upthrust, then body will sink down. These things also depend on the density of the liquids. Like water का जो density है वो है 1 gram centimeter minus 3, और in SI system it is 1 kg, sorry 10 power 3 kg per meter cube. So water का density है SI में इतना, और like 10 power 3, और CGS में 1 gram per centimeter cube. So if we have bodies having more density than the water, so they will sink down, and if the body is having like less density than the water, they will float there. And it is also like depending on the mainly depending on the upthrust, and upthrust ultimately, like what is the upthrust there, the expression for the upthrust is basically V rho g. So where V is the volume of the displaced liquid or displaced water there. So if weight of the displaced liquid is more in comparison to the weight of the body, definitely it will float there. And if the weight of the displaced liquid is less than the weight of the body, it will sink down there. So overall we can say that if upthrust is greater than the weight, body will float, and if its upthrust is not greater than the like that weight, body will sink down. Thank you very much.